Have you ever caught yourself saying something you instantly regretted? Words have incredible power, not just in how others see us, but in how we see ourselves. Have you ever stopped to think about how certain words could be quietly limiting your confidence, happiness, and the way you approach life as you age? In this video, I'm going to share 12 words that you should stop saying if you're over 70. These words might seem harmless at first, but trust me, they're holding you back more than you realize. You'll discover how eliminating just a few small words can help you feel more confident, empowered, and in control of your own life. By the end of this video, you'll not only feel inspired to change the way you speak, but you'll also understand why every word you say shapes your mindset, your relationships, and your self-worth. Whether you're struggling with self-doubt, dealing with aging, or simply looking to live a more fulfilled and empowered life, this video will help you take charge of your language and start living with more freedom and confidence. So, stay tuned, because the last word on this list is one you're probably saying every single day without even realizing the huge impact it has. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Just. The word just might seem like a small, harmless addition to a sentence, but its effects are anything but trivial. It's a sneaky little word that quietly undermines our sense of confidence and power in our thoughts and beliefs. We don't often stop to think about how this seemingly innocent word works its way into our language, but it can have a profound impact on the way we communicate, both with others and, perhaps more importantly, with ourselves. When we say things like, "I just think maybe you should," we're not giving our thoughts the space they deserve. Instead of standing firm in our wisdom, we're apologizing for it, as though our opinions aren't worthy of being expressed confidently. It's almost like we're tiptoeing around our own beliefs, hesitant to fully claim them because we fear we might come off as too forceful or presumptuous. But here's the thing, by using just, we end up diminishing our voice. It feels like we're shrinking ourselves, trying to soften our words so they don't seem too bold or too strong. We're almost saying, "I don't want to take up too much space," when, in fact, we should be unapologetic in sharing what's on our minds. I've caught myself using just in my own life many times, and each time, I've had to pause and ask why I felt the need to water down what I was saying. It's not that I didn't believe in my ideas or that I wasn't sure of myself. It was the subtle, quiet pressure to make myself seem less assertive, less dominant in a conversation. And I know I'm not alone in this. Many of us have been socialized to believe that being overly assertive or too confident can come off as rude or arrogant. We're taught to be humble, to downplay our strength so others aren't intimidated or turned off. But here's the truth. By doing so, we're holding ourselves back. We're preventing our full potential from shining through. The problem with just is that it's a word that implies a lack of conviction, a lack of ownership. When we add it into our sentences, we allow ourselves to exist in a space where we feel we have to ask for permission to speak, as though we're not entitled to take up room in the conversation. Think about it. When you say, "I just think we should," or "I just feel that," you're not showing full belief in the value of your thoughts. You're diminishing the strength of your own opinions as if you're unsure of them or apologizing for having them at all. What if we stopped using just? What if we allowed ourselves to speak freely, without hesitation, without the need for qualifiers that soften the impact of our words? Imagine how powerful that would be. It would be a declaration that we trust ourselves and that we respect our wisdom and the insights we've gained through years of experience. It would be a statement that we believe our voices matter and that we're worthy of being heard. Instead of letting ourselves be drowned out by self-doubt or external expectations, we would finally be able to stand tall and speak boldly, without apologizing for our existence. I know it's not always easy to let go of that ingrained habit. We've been conditioned to doubt ourselves, to believe that our ideas are less valid than those of others. But I believe that the moment we release just from our vocabulary, we allow ourselves to embrace a new kind of empowerment. It's not about arrogance or demanding attention. It's about owning our voice with grace and strength. It's about recognizing that our opinions are valid, that our experiences have value, and that we don't need to shrink ourselves to make others feel comfortable. By speaking assertively and without the crutch of just, we stop apologizing for who we are. We stop shrinking into the background and start stepping into the fullness of who we were always meant to be. And when we do that, we can begin to have the kind of conversations that are deep, meaningful, and full of purpose. It's time to stop softening our words and start letting our true selves be heard unapologetically, powerfully, and with conviction. After all, we've earned the right to speak up, and there's no reason to apologize for it. 2. Old. Acknowledging your age is undeniably important because it honors the time you've spent on this earth and the multitude of experiences you've encountered. It's a reflection of your growth, the challenges you've overcome, and the wisdom you've gained along the way. But, despite this importance, simply labeling yourself as old can be restrictive, almost like putting yourself into a box that limits your potential and the beauty of your journey. Age is a mere number, an external marker that does not capture the fullness of your life. It doesn't speak to the depth of your character, the richness of your relationships, or the vastness of your experiences. It can't encapsulate the resilience you've developed over the years or how you've been shaped by every step you've taken. You are not just the years you've lived. You are the countless stories you carry within you, each one more profound than any fleeting label could ever capture. Every wrinkle on your face tells a story of laughter, of tears, of triumphs, and yes, even of heartache. These marks of time aren't something to hide or shy away from. They're badges of honor. They speak volumes about the resilience it took to endure and the strength you had to summon in the most difficult of times. When you think about the challenges you've faced, the tough decisions you've made, and the lessons learned, you begin to realize that these moments have shaped you into someone far beyond the confines of your age. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. To call yourself old is to do a disservice to the tapestry of your life. It erases the value of everything you've built, everything you've experienced, and everything you still have to offer. Think about all the skills you've honed, the relationships you've nurtured, and the knowledge you've gathered. These aren't things that simply fade away with time. They evolve. The experiences that once seemed hard or unmanageable become the foundation of your wisdom. And that wisdom, it's a treasure to be cherished. You've learned not only from your own life but from the world around you. You've witnessed how love transforms over time, how joy can arise from the smallest moments, and how even the darkest of days can lead to personal breakthroughs. Rather than identifying as old, embrace the incredible depth of your experience. Embrace the fact that you are wise, seasoned, and more capable than you might even realize. Your perspective is unique, shaped by years of living fully, and it has a richness that no one else can replicate. You've earned the right to see the world with a different lens, to savor its beauty with a sense of gratitude and awareness that only comes from living life fully. This is not something to feel regret about or apologize for. This is something to celebrate. The world doesn't value experience enough, but those who have lived long enough to witness the full spectrum of life understand just how precious it is. You've built a life of depth and meaning, and your age is merely a reflection of that. It's the wisdom you've gained, the relationships you've nurtured, and the impact you've had on those around you that truly define who you are. Age does not make you obsolete. It makes you an invaluable resource to those who are lucky enough to be in your presence. You are not old. You are seasoned, you are wise, and you are a living testament to the beauty of a life well lived. Your story isn't over, and there's still so much more to contribute to this world. 3. Sorry. Apologizing is an essential part of human connection. It's how we acknowledge when we've made a mistake, hurt someone, or misjudged a situation. But there's a delicate line between offering a genuine apology and over-apologizing for things that don't require an apology at all. When we apologize too often, especially for things like our needs, our feelings, or our very existence, we begin to undermine our sense of self-worth. This is something that I feel so strongly about because I've seen it happen to so many people. It breaks my heart when I watch someone apologize for simply being who they are, as if their presence in the world is an inconvenience or burden. Over-apologizing for the most basic aspects of life, like taking time for yourself or needing support, can be incredibly damaging to our self-esteem. It's almost as if we're subconsciously telling ourselves that we aren't deserving of space, love, or understanding without offering a token of regret. In my journey, I've come to realize that constantly saying sorry for being late, for needing help, or for not having everything perfectly together chips away at the confidence I've worked so hard to build. It's as if we apologize for our imperfections as though they are flaws that should never be shown, when in reality, they are what make us human and uniquely beautiful. What we need instead is a shift in perspective. A change in how we view our worth and how we communicate that with others. I found that instead of saying, "Sorry I'm late," which almost always leaves me feeling guilty and small, a much more empowering approach is to say, "Thank you for waiting." This simple shift in language transforms the energy of the conversation. It takes the focus off of the apology and places it on gratitude, showing appreciation for the other person's patience without apologizing for something that was beyond my control or simply a natural part of being human. This change in approach doesn't just alter the way others see us, it alters the way we see ourselves. Instead of shrinking back and apologizing for our existence or our delays, we can stand tall and express gratitude for the understanding and support we receive. It may seem like a small change, but in practice, it can make a huge difference in how we feel about ourselves and how we project that confidence into the world. By thanking someone for their patience, we acknowledge their kindness and reinforce the positive aspects of the interaction, rather than focusing on the negative feelings that an apology can sometimes bring. Ultimately, what we're doing when we choose gratitude over guilt is embracing our worth. We are learning that we do not have to apologize for our presence, our needs, or our humanity. We are deserving of respect and compassion without needing to minimize ourselves to make others feel more comfortable. It's about accepting that we are worthy of love and understanding, no matter how messy or imperfect we might be at times. And by making this shift, we not only take care of ourselves, but we also encourage others to do the same. In a world where we're so often taught to apologize for everything, how powerful it would be to replace constant apologies with expressions of gratitude and self-acceptance. It's an act of reclaiming our power, honoring ourselves, and cultivating a life of confidence and self-respect. So let's stop apologizing for being who we are, and instead, let's start thanking the world for the patience and understanding it offers us, even in our most imperfect moments. 4. Can't. The word can't is far more than just a simple word. It's a powerful force that shuts down possibilities and locks us into a prison of self-doubt. It's a mental barrier that we erect around ourselves, often without realizing how much power we give it. When we say can't, we're accepting a version of ourselves that is limited, stagnant, and bound by invisible chains. It's like telling ourselves that we've reached the peak, that there's no more room to grow, that the effort isn't worth it. But the truth is, can't is never the final word. It's merely a reflection of where we are in the moment, a passing thought, not a permanent fact. Every time we allow can't to dominate our mindset, we block our path to growth and exploration. Instead of surrendering to the weight of can't, imagine a world where you change just one thing. Replace that limiting thought with "I'll give it a shot." By doing this, you unlock a wellspring of possibility and hope. It's as if the universe whispers, "Come closer, and I will show you new doors." The act of telling yourself, "I'll give it a shot," transforms fear and uncertainty into curiosity, inviting you to step into the unknown with an open heart and mind. You begin to see challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to learn and grow. Even if the outcome isn't clear or immediate, you take the first step, which is often the hardest yet the most crucial. But it doesn't stop there. try telling yourself, "I'll figure out how." These words carry a quiet strength, a deep confidence that no matter the challenge, you will find a way. It's not about having all the answers at the start. It's about trusting yourself enough to take action, explore different possibilities, and believe that with time and effort, a solution will emerge. "I'll figure out how" gives you the mental freedom to fail and try again without fear of judgment. It's a statement of resilience, of grit, and of unwavering belief in your ability to adapt and overcome. This shift in mindset changes everything, making your journey less about achieving perfection and more about growth, learning, and embracing the messiness of the process. When you adopt this mindset, life becomes a beautiful experiment of what if and why not. You stop seeing the world through a lens of limitation and start seeing it through a lens of endless possibilities. The very act of replacing can't with curiosity opens up doors you never imagined existed. It's like taking off blinders and suddenly seeing the world in full color, recognizing opportunities where once there was only doubt. You start taking risks you would have avoided, trying things that once seemed out of reach, and discovering strengths you didn't know you had. The most incredible part is that this shift doesn't just change how you approach challenges. It changes how you approach life itself. It gives you the courage to embrace the unknown with excitement rather than fear, to trust that even if you stumble, you'll rise again, wiser and more capable. It turns every moment of hesitation into an opportunity for self-discovery. So, let go of the idea that can't is an absolute truth and embrace the power of possibility. Step out of the box you've confined yourself to, and take a deep breath. You are capable of more than you've ever realized. Every day is a chance to say, "I'll give it a shot," and every attempt is a victory in itself. The more you practice this, the more you'll begin to see just how much you are capable of, and how much beauty and joy come from living a life that is no longer bound by fear, but inspired by the boundless opportunities of the present moment. 5. Should. The word should carries a subtle yet powerful weight that many of us don't even realize we're carrying. It seeps into our conversations with ourselves and others, quietly reminding us of all the ways we feel inadequate, all the things we haven't done, and the expectations we constantly struggle to meet. When we tell ourselves, "I should exercise more," it's as if we're weighing ourselves down with guilt, shame, and a sense of obligation that robs us of the joy that should come with taking care of our bodies. That simple word creates an invisible, unrelenting pressure, making us feel as if we're falling short of some unattainable ideal. It suggests that we're failing at life, constantly not enough, and that no matter how hard we try, we will always be lacking in one way or another. It's a feeling many of us know all too well, especially as we navigate the complexities of aging or the demands of a busy, fast-paced life. But the truth is, should isn't just about external expectations. It's about the way we speak to ourselves. And when we continue to tell ourselves, should, we reinforce that feeling of deficiency, of never measuring up. We convince ourselves that we're not doing enough, that we're not enough. It's a constant internal battle where we're forced into a position of guilt rather than empowerment, obligation instead of choice. No matter how hard we try to meet those shoulds, they feel like unreachable mountains. This is where we trap ourselves, in a cycle that perpetuates stress, frustration, and unhappiness. Now imagine what happens when we change just one little word, when we replace should with something more empowering, something that focuses on our desires and our well-being. Instead of saying, "I should exercise more," what if we told ourselves, "I want to move my body because it feels good"? That small change is revolutionary. It transforms exercise from a task that feels like a duty into something that's rooted in personal choice, something driven by a deep understanding of what feels right for us, not what we feel obligated to do for someone else or because society says so. By making that change, we're no longer tied to the weight of guilt. Instead, we empower ourselves with the freedom to choose what aligns with our values and desires. In my experience, this shift is everything. The moment I allowed myself to reframe the concept of should and embrace the idea of want, I began to see taking care of myself not as a burden, but as an act of self-love. It's about honoring my body, my mind, and my heart by making choices that nourish me from within. The simple act of moving my body, when it comes from a place of wanting to feel good rather than needing to meet an expectation, becomes an expression of care. It becomes a reminder that we deserve to feel good, that our well-being is worth the effort. Not because someone told us we should, but because we know deep down that it's what makes us whole, healthy, and at peace. The key here is empowerment. By removing should from our vocabulary, we stop seeing ourselves as bound to a set of rules that only leave us feeling inadequate. Instead, we allow ourselves to embrace what it means to choose. When we replace should with want, we're making a conscious decision to prioritize our own needs and desires. We stop being victims of our internal pressure and start being the champions of our happiness. The beauty in this shift is that it isn't just about one act. It's a philosophy we can apply to every aspect of our lives. It's about moving away from guilt-driven actions and towards choices that reflect who we truly are, what we truly need, and what will make us feel alive, vibrant, and full of purpose. This mindset shift doesn't just change how we view exercise, but it impacts everything we do. It transforms how we approach relationships, work, self-care, and even our personal growth. The power of making choices from a place of self-respect, rather than obligation, is immeasurable. It gives us the freedom to live more authentically and to honor ourselves in ways that we never thought possible. It reminds us that we don't have to live up to an endless list of shoulds. Instead, we can create a life filled with wants, a life that is based on the pure joy of choosing what makes us feel good, what makes us whole, and what truly reflects who we are deep inside. 6. Ugly. The word ugly is a deeply damaging term, especially when it is used to describe ourselves, even in the most casual way. It's a word that seems innocent enough when thrown around in jest, but its emotional impact can be profound. When we use the word ugly to define our appearance, it can silently chip away at our self-worth and create a sense of inadequacy that can last much longer than the fleeting moment in which it was uttered. This self-critical language does nothing but reinforce feelings of shame and insecurity, making it more difficult for us to truly appreciate the beauty that exists within us. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As we age, our physical appearance naturally changes. We may notice more wrinkles, perhaps a few more gray hairs, and the passage of time becomes more visible on our bodies. But this is not a sign of failure or something to be ashamed of. In fact, it is the complete opposite. Aging is proof of a life well lived. Every wrinkle tells a story, a memory of laughter, tears, challenges overcome, and moments that have shaped us into the people we are today. Those silver strands in our hair, they carry with them the wisdom of years spent learning, growing, and loving. With each passing day, we grow into a version of ourselves that has been forged by experience, and that is something to be honored, not hidden or diminished. Rather than referring to ourselves as ugly when we notice changes in our bodies, it is far more uplifting to use words that reflect our natural beauty. Words like authentic, natural, and beautiful in its way can transform our self-image and help us develop a deeper appreciation for who we have become. There is an undeniable beauty in the aging process, one that is often overlooked in a society that worships youth and perfection. The reality is that aging is a gift. It's a marker of endurance, resilience, and the capacity to keep going despite life's ups and downs. With each line on our face, we hold the story of our life. With each change in our body, we carry the lessons we've learned along the way. We owe it to ourselves to celebrate those changes, not only because they reflect the time we've spent on this earth, but because they signify a growing sense of self-acceptance and peace. It takes strength to embrace our aging bodies and see them for what they truly are, beautiful, not despite their changes, but because of them. We should be kind to ourselves in the way we speak, remembering that the words we use shape the way we see ourselves. Instead of seeing the natural signs of aging as flaws, we should view them as beautiful markers of growth, as evidence of a life fully lived, full of experiences that have added depth and meaning to who we are. Ultimately, it's essential to remember that beauty does not reside in flawless skin or perfect bodies. It resides in the authenticity and vulnerability that come with living. Aging is a privilege, and the changes we go through should be viewed as something to be celebrated. Every line and every gray hair tells a story of survival, love, and joy. It's time to honor that story and choose words that reflect the wisdom and strength we've gained along the way. So let's stop calling ourselves ugly and start recognizing the grace, beauty, and power in the natural process of aging. We are, after all, beautiful in our unique way, and that is something worth embracing. 7. Lonely. Loneliness. It's a word that lingers in the air like a heavy fog, casting a shadow over every thought, every feeling. When we say lonely, it's as though we're reinforcing a narrative of isolation, of being separate from the world around us, as though we are invisible or disconnected from the things and people that matter. It's a word that keeps us trapped, drawing a line between ourselves and the joy of shared experiences. There's a quiet, almost suffocating weight to loneliness, a feeling that nothing can fill the void, that we are destined to wander through life without true companionship or connection. And yet, there's something profoundly limiting about that word. It suggests that the experience of being alone defines us, that it's a permanent state rather than a passing feeling. When we label ourselves as lonely, we often unknowingly accept a self-fulfilling prophecy. We might begin to see ourselves as unworthy of connection, or worse, as incapable of forming meaningful relationships. It's easy to slip into this mindset, and before we realize it, we're paralyzed by the thought that things will never change, that we are stuck in a never-ending cycle of loneliness that we cannot escape. The longer we hold on to this belief, the deeper the roots of isolation grow in our hearts and minds. But what if we stopped saying lonely and instead chose to say, I'm seeking connection? What if we changed our perspective from one of lack to one of hope and possibility? By choosing to reframe how we speak about our solitude, we unlock the potential for growth and new experiences. When we acknowledge that we are looking for connection, we affirm that we are open to what the world has to offer and that we are actively seeking meaningful relationships, new bonds, and shared moments with others. It's a powerful shift in mindset that changes everything. I'm looking for new experiences. That simple shift can transform how we view our alone time. Instead of seeing it as a void, we can start to see it as a fertile ground where new adventures and opportunities can blossom. The world is full of potential connections. Strangers who might become friends, experiences that might become memories, moments that might bring us joy and understanding. Even when we're by ourselves, there's always the possibility of encountering something new, something life-affirming. The very act of seeking can make us feel less isolated, as it affirms that we are actively participating in the world around us, even in our quietest moments. By reframing our language and our thoughts, we break the chains of self-imposed isolation. It's like taking off a mask we've worn for far too long, one that says, I'm alone, and replacing it with a mask that says, I'm open to connection. The change is subtle but profound. It's not just about finding new people or experiences. It's about finding ourselves in the process. It's about reminding ourselves that our worth isn't defined by our solitude, but by our ability to keep seeking, growing, and connecting with the world in meaningful ways. The truth is, we are not meant to be islands, isolated from the world. We are meant to reach out, to share our stories, and to connect with others on a deeper level. Life is rich with possibilities, and even in the quietest moments of solitude, there is always the chance for a new beginning, a fresh connection, or a renewed sense of purpose. When we choose to see loneliness not as a permanent state, but as a signal, a call to reach out, to explore, to embrace new experiences, we find that we can break free from its grip. By doing so, we open ourselves to the beauty of human connection, to the joy of shared moments, and to the realization that we are never truly alone, as long as we are willing to seek, connect, and embrace the world with an open heart. Reframing loneliness isn't just about changing our words. It's about changing the way we view ourselves and our place in the world. It's a transformation that has the power to shift our lives from isolation to connection, from longing to fulfillment, and from loneliness to the joy of being truly alive. 8. Too, as in too old, too tired, or too late. The word too has a remarkable way of creeping into our vocabulary, and once it's there, it can subtly shape our mindset in ways that feel almost permanent. It's as though the word carries with it an unspoken, invisible barrier, a wall we construct in our minds that tells us what we can't do. When we say things like, "I'm too old for that," it almost feels like we are locking the door on opportunities, telling ourselves that we've reached a point where the world no longer has anything new to offer. But the truth is, this mindset is nothing more than an illusion, a self-imposed limitation that doesn't need to exist. Instead of resigning ourselves to the idea that we are too old, too tired, or too late, what if we reframed those thoughts? What if, instead of immediately thinking, "I'm too old to try something new," we allowed ourselves to say, "I might need more time, more support, or a different approach, but I can do this"? The difference between these two statements is monumental. One shuts us down, while the other opens us up to possibility. We stop seeing age as a constraint and start seeing it as a new layer of wisdom, strength, and experience that makes us more capable than ever before. There's something truly heartbreaking about hearing someone say they are too old for something. Whether it's trying a new hobby, traveling to a new place, or learning a new skill. It's like we're allowing ourselves to become prisoners of our age, as if the years we've lived somehow rob us of our ability to embrace new challenges or experiences. But why should that be the case? I've always believed that life doesn't stop being full of opportunities just because you've reached a certain age. One of the most beautiful and fulfilling moments of life happens in our later years when we have the clarity, perspective, and understanding that only time can give us. Age, far from being a limitation, can be a source of empowerment. Our lives are a mosaic of experiences, and as we grow older, we accumulate more depth and richness than we realize. Yes, we may need to be a little kinder to ourselves. We may need to recognize that, physically, we might not bounce back the same way we once did. But that doesn't mean we are incapable of achieving greatness. It doesn't mean we have to stop dreaming, stop challenging ourselves, or stop pursuing the things that bring us joy. When I look at the people around me, older friends, family members, and even strangers who inspire me, I see a profound strength in their resilience. They have lived through more years, and in those years, they've learned to embrace life's ups and downs. They've discovered that the true beauty of life doesn't come from what you can't do, but from what you choose to do, regardless of age. So, when we tell ourselves that we are too old for something, we're missing out on that very gift. The ability to evolve, to reinvent, to stretch our limits in ways that bring us joy and fulfillment. Instead of limiting ourselves, we should ask, what do we need to continue growing? It might be more time, patience, or a new way of doing things. And that's okay. Life, in all its complexity, offers us the opportunity to redefine our journey at every stage. The beauty of aging is that it allows us to step back, reflect, and decide what's truly important. We can let go of the pressures of youth and embrace the freedom to live on our terms, to choose what we want to experience without fear of age being a barrier. So, let's stop saying too and start embracing can. Let's challenge the belief that aging means slowing down or stopping altogether. The truth is, we are capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for. Life, no matter how old we are, is still rich with possibility. There is always room for growth, change, and new beginnings. And that, in my opinion, is the greatest gift we can give ourselves as we age. The permission to keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep living fully without ever placing limits on who we can be. 9. Can't complain. Saying, "I can't complain," is often seen as a polite way to avoid burdening others with our struggles. On the surface, it might feel like the right thing to say to keep the peace, to not make anyone uncomfortable. But deep down, it can be a barrier, a way of masking what we're truly feeling. It's like we're quietly pushing our emotions aside, not allowing ourselves to express what's going on. And in doing so, we may be preventing others from connecting with us on a deeper level. In my experience, I've learned that being honest about where I am emotionally can open up a space for real connection. Instead of brushing off my feelings, I've started saying things like, "I'm managing, but this has been a challenging time." It's not about seeking sympathy or pity. It's about inviting understanding and vulnerability. It allows the people around me to step into my world, to really hear me, and maybe even share their struggles in return. Sometimes, acknowledging the difficulty in a situation brings a sense of relief, like a weight lifted off your shoulders. It's in those moments that I feel truly seen, not for the surface-level things I present to the world, but for the authentic person I am in all my complexities. Opening up isn't easy, especially in a world where we're often taught to put on a brave face and keep pushing forward. But I believe that honesty, with both ourselves and others, is what creates genuine bonds. It's about showing up fully, with all the highs and lows that life brings, knowing that vulnerability is a strength. When we allow ourselves to say, "This has been hard," it's an invitation for empathy, connection, and even support, things we all need, no matter how independent we like to think we are. 10. I used to be. I used to be. These words are often wrapped in layers of regret, nostalgia, or a yearning for the past, a past that feels distant and unreachable. It's so easy to fall into the trap of comparing who we were to who we are now, allowing ourselves to feel a sense of loss for the person we used to be. We might mourn the energy we once had or the dreams we hadn't yet let go of. But in doing so, we often overlook the incredible strength and wisdom we have gained along the way. It's easy to slip into the sadness of what feels like fading youth or forgotten ambitions, but we must shift our focus. Instead of holding on to the ghost of who we once were, we can choose to embrace who we are becoming. The truth is, today holds so much potential. The way I stay active now, in ways that feel nourishing and kind to my body, speaks volumes about my growth. I don't need to run marathons anymore, nor do I need to prove anything to anyone. What matters is that I'm moving, I'm breathing, and I'm embracing my health in a way that feels right for me. I've learned to listen to my body and give it what it needs. Not what I thought I should do, but what truly nurtures me. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I've also come to realize the importance of prioritizing myself. In the past, I gave so much of myself to others, often losing sight of my own needs and desires. But now, I've learned the importance of self-care and self-compassion. I've discovered that it's okay to say no when something doesn't serve my peace or my purpose. It's okay to put my needs first, without guilt or hesitation. I've learned to celebrate my journey, every scar, every wrinkle, every smile, because they all mark moments of growth, strength, and resilience. So rather than looking back at who I used to be, I'm choosing to celebrate who I am now, knowing that I am enough, I am growing, and I am worthy of all the love and care I give myself today. 11. It's always been this way. It's always been this way. How often have we caught ourselves saying those words, almost as if they were a security blanket? It's a phrase that can trap us in the past, holding us hostage to outdated routines and beliefs. It's so easy to fall into the comfort of familiar patterns, especially as we get older. We find solace in the predictability of life, even if it means stagnation. But, in truth, these words are like chains, shackling us to a version of ourselves that no longer serves us. We often fear change, especially as the years pass, convinced that we're too old to take risks, too set in our ways to embrace something new. But I believe that every moment we breathe is a chance to reinvent ourselves, to break free from the monotonous cycles that keep us small. Age is not a barrier to growth. It's an invitation to discover new facets of who we are, even after 70. Some of the most profound and liberating experiences happen when we stop clinging to the way it's always been and open ourselves to new adventures. Whether it's learning a new skill, picking up a hobby we never thought we'd enjoy, or even changing the way we think about our capabilities, endless possibilities are waiting for us. Life doesn't stop at 70. It continues to unfold in ways we've yet to imagine. Embrace that. You deserve the chance to explore, to push past comfort, and to feel the thrill of novelty and change. There's so much more ahead. Why hold yourself back? Let go of the past and step into the future, because the best is yet to come. 12. I'm fine. Saying I'm fine is something that many of us do without even thinking about it, often as a reflex when we don't want to burden anyone or when we're trying to protect ourselves from vulnerability. However, these two simple words can create a barrier between us and the people who truly care about us. It's a defense mechanism, a way of shielding ourselves from the emotional weight we may not feel ready to carry. But deep down, it only isolates us, preventing the kind of deep connection we all crave, the connection that brings true understanding, comfort, and support. When we say, I'm fine, we sometimes deny the complexity of our emotions, the joy, the sadness, the uncertainty, and in doing so, we miss an opportunity for others to truly see us. In my opinion, we owe it to ourselves to be more honest, not just with others but with ourselves. A simple shift, like saying, I'm managing, but I could use a listening ear, opens the door for real connection. It lets people know that you're not asking for solutions, just empathy, just someone to hear your words without judgment. We shouldn't be afraid to share our feelings, both the challenges and the joys. Life is a beautiful mix of highs and lows, and expressing that fully, without the mask of I'm fine, can be incredibly liberating. When we let others into our world, we allow them to help us carry our burdens and celebrate our triumphs. Positivity can shine when shared, not kept in isolation. The more we embrace authenticity in our conversations, the more we create space for meaningful, compassionate relationships that uplift both us and those around us. After all, we're all on this journey together, and by opening up, we create the kind of connection that makes everything just a little bit easier to bear. Thank you for joining me today and exploring the power of honesty in our connections with others. We've learned how something as simple as saying, I'm fine, can keep us isolated, and how, by being more open and vulnerable, we can invite real connections into our lives. I hope you're feeling inspired to practice sharing your true feelings, both the challenges and the joys, with those around you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you plan to bring into your own life? Please comment below and let me know how you're going to make a change. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can continue growing this beautiful community. I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing how you'll take action on the wisdom we shared today. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.